right. So there's not really a whole lot to say about the situation. Just the fact that there were some estimations it was going to cost me an astronomical amount of money to repair all this damage, but there wasn't. I got the crank out here. I went over it up close and in detail instead of kind of being bent upside down looking at the journals. I sat it down here. I used this towel, of course. I sat it down here, went over it, cleaned everything up, and I think I could use it as is right now. Like, I don't even think I have to get it polished. There's a good chance I'm still going to send it out to go get polished just because of the fact that I know somebody that'll do it for $90. Like, at that point, like, why not do it? I did, the crank was the most important thing, and I had to double check and make sure the crank was going to be good to go, and it is. So, we're moving ahead with the F22. We're going to move ahead with the F22. Now, then it became this question of what exactly I'm going to do to save the block. And like I shout out for cylinder support system some time ago that, a solution for FRM is that they do cylinder liners for the FRM. So it's like $850, which includes the finished machine work, bore, hone, deck, and jet wash and all that stuff. So at $850, you're somewhat resleeving the block to cast iron, so that way you can actually use forged pistons or whatnot. But I already reached out and talked to them to double check the prices because the price is no longer listed. I think they recently redid their website, and when they redid the website, the part that listed their services, service labor is gone. Because Cylinder Support Systems website isn't like a super complicated one. It's like a single page. So which is why I think that maybe that happened. I think that they could probably only have so much script at one time. When they updated it, they just didn't have the room. So I think they just took it off. That's my guess. I don't know. I don't know even why. Why do you even bother to pose a guess? It doesn't even really matter. So I've been going back and forth. Like, do I go ahead and wait a little longer and do forged pistons and rods? And then I'm always back and forth like, but, I don't need that. I'm going to keep it on pump gas. I'm like, fuck it. Let me just make a supercar because I'm not going to daily drive the car, which is true. The main reason why I want to keep it on pump gas is so I can travel long distances and not have to worry about finding E85 pumps. I don't want to self-impose like a Tesla situation on me where I'm looking for chargers. Although I think at this point, the Tesla would be easier to find charging stations for than E85. Especially when you're just talking about within a 300-mile range in Florida or whatnot. But anyway, that's besides the point. What ultimately put the pin in the bag for me was that, and it's still not even really 100% as I'm saying this, but what kind of like tops it off for me is that I'm saying the accessories is what kills me on going past 500 horsepower. It's not so much the pistons and rods because I don't mind spending that money. It's the twin disc clutch, the enormous injectors I'm going to need for the higher fuel rates of E85 and all that stuff. The bigger fuel pump. It's the accessory stuff that's gonna cost me. It would actually cost me more to buy the cheapest twin disc than it is gonna cost me to repair my block. The Chinese guys haven't made any ripoffs for the S2000 parts, I guess, because the S2000s just aren't as readily available to people. People aren't buying that car all the time, so there's not a huge market for them. So anyway, now that I have the pistons and rods out, I'm looking at them, I'm feeling them, and these are some really heavy duty fucking rods. Like, you really feel these motherfuckers. And I understand now why there's so many of these S2000 out there with a stock bottom end that's making 700 horsepower. Now, when I talked to the guys up at CSS, or I guess I actually talked to Jeff's wife, the question was like, I'm like, hey, can we just put the build back to a stock bore, and just use my stock pistons? And of course, the question was, well, what's the condition of the pistons? Are they all scarred up? And I'm like, well, there was some scratching going on, but it's nothing I think I can't fix. So with some really light sandpaper, I guess not super light because it's just 220 grit, but 220 is still not a very strong sandpaper. Like, it's real light grit. It gunks up real easy, so that's kind of a pain in the ass. Now, you can see here the piston grip. You can see like those faint markings, right? But when you run your finger along it, you don't really feel anything. It's smooth to the touch. Now, I want to say that when I had my pinky, where's my little crack now? My booty scratcher. Let's see. Yeah, I'm running my nail across it, and there's the tiniest hint that there was the abrasion there, but not heavy anymore. And technically speaking, still, I'm not even finished. I can still go over this a little longer. It takes some more time to go over it and get those faint scratches even like 100% out. Although I think that even at this point, like if this were just like a normal, like it was supposed to be a stock bore rebuild, then I would just send it as is right now. But we're going to get, brand new liners put in there. So I want to make sure that these are as good to go as possible to not waste my effort. Now, of course, these aren't 100% clean because last night this was taking a lot longer to do than I expected it would. And I'm running on like next to no sleep. But anyway, so that's what the piston looks like now after spending some time to go over it and clean it up and shit. And I still have, of course, some pistons I haven't finished cleaning. And this is what it was before. So when you look at it with a naked eye, when you're just like, first glance, it's like, fuck, these things are trash. But then when you start going over it, may not necessarily be trash. Like, so what I'm going to do with these is these are going to get, once I finish cleaning them up, I'm going to box them up and send them with the block. And then I will give final decision to the guys up at CSS, whether they think it's a good idea to keep or not. Again, one of those things where I, personally, if it was like a normal B series or D series build, I wouldn't even ask, I wouldn't even bother asking an opinion. I would just send it because it wouldn't be the first time I've done that. And then, anyway, but because the nature of the fact that this car is an expensive car, it's a high dollar build, not even really a too high dollar, but somewhat high dollar build, like, I will defer to them. And as far as the pistons I will go with, if I'm going to upgrade, is I'll just go with the Nippon Racing pistons, which are no replacement, that are good for 600 horsepower, probably good for more. But I want pump. If I'm going to keep with a stock block, and I don't want to go past 500 because I don't want to do the accessories, I'm going to keep it in the mid to high 400s. If I can touch 5, that'd be cool. Just to say that I did. There's also a bunch of S2000s I've seen out there. A lot of S2000 builds are 560, 570 horsepower. They'll last them for a long time. So the S2000, for those of you guys that haven't heard me talk about it before, is a lot like the K series, where how long this just lasts. It just lasts for a really long time. So it's crazy. If it hadn't been for that one cylinder 4 that was scarred up, as bad as it was, I really could have sent it as it was. Like, the crank would have been, I was able to clean up the crank. If the cylinder scarring wasn't so bad, I could have literally rearranged, rebearing like the dog was going to, and sent it back. Because the first 3 cylinders, they are marked a little bit, but not too bad where they can't be used still. It's just that last one, bro. But anyway, not a big deal. I'm actually kind of excited. I'm kind of sad because I'm sending a block to CSS that I 100% for the first time know that it's going to be for me. Like, I've got a lot of engines laying around here, and sometimes I build it and I'm like, oh, that's going to be for me, and then I just decide to sell it or whatever. But there's no doubt in my mind that this one's going right back into the car. This is 100% for me. The build it's not going to be like the Integra where it's taking me half a decade. It's going to get done, like, as soon as it gets back, it's going to get rebuilt and put in the car, and the car's going to be tuned and is driving, right? So that's all that great stuff. Again, I'm actually excited I'm able to do this, that I'm actually able to go to them for some work for a block that's going to be for me, that I'm going to have quick turnaround on. It sucks though, because I can't really justify doing the CSS because I know the stock sleeves are going to be more than capable enough to do what I need to do. And because I'm on a budget right now, if I wasn't on a budget, let's say pre-COVID, right, when I was making a decent amount of side money, like, then having the wrong rods wouldn't have been a problem. It would have been a nuisance, but it wouldn't have been a problem. And technically, I guess not really a problem now. It's just super aggravating. But I would have been able to just buy another set of rods. I could have bought some forged pistons, and I could have had me a built engine, and then done the CSS, and it wouldn't have been any issue at all in my pockets. But again, I'm coming out of pocket because no business is flowing through here. So it is what it is. So I am gonna be finally, getting full fresh engine for me that I know that I'm going to turn around quick, but I can't do it as well as I would like to because of, circumstances. But anyway, it's not that big a deal. I'm pretty happy with it. My worst fear was that I wasn't going to be able to use it at all, but it turns out that it's not a big problem. It's not even really going to be expensive. It's $850 for the labor to do all that, and then like $60, $60, $70 each way for shipping. Like, my shipping through my discounts through FedEx are cheaper than when they ship it back to me. So I pay like $65 to send it out. I'll probably pay them like $80 to send it back to me. So it's gonna be $850 plus the cost of shipping. That's why I was saying that my cost for repairing this block is right around $1,000. So that estimation where it's gonna cost me $5,000 to buy a whole ass new engine, that's a non-issue. And anyway, like I was saying, worst case scenario, I would just do a K because I have multiple Ks that I could do. I've already got pistons and rods for, and the sky would be the limit. And I could buy Chinese twin disc, so I could go with it. Now, for those of you guys that are saying, bro, take your time and do this and do that. Okay, so first off, you're not donating to this build. All right, you're not spending money with me. You're not giving me money to do that. So why the fuck would I spend an extra $1,300 or whatever, however much it costs to buy the adapter kit to put a K in my car? The whole point is to do this on a decent budget. Now, a decent budget doesn't mean cheap as fuck, but a decent budget where I'm not going to spend crazy amounts of money just because. All right, and secondly, I've got an Integra that I've been dragging around with me for 7 years now. That's got a fresh engine in it that runs but doesn't drive. Is nowhere near ready to go. So I'm not taking my time with another build. I'm not keeping another fucking shell sitting in my yard for another fucking half decade. So we're going to get it done. I can do it quick and easy. Worst case scenario, I have to spend money on buying a set of nip and racing pistons, which isn't really that big a deal. And I'll have the block back and reassembled probably within the same weekend just because of the fact that I'm super hyped and excited. And then it's just going to be back to waiting for Lee to have time to put it back in and then setting up a tune and all that stuff. So, yeah, we're moving along quickly. At this point, we're going to be delayed like another month or so just because of the fact that I'm going to have to wait for the turnaround time. And also, I'm not going to ship these out until the pistons are cleaned up because I'm not going to send the CSS twice. So, again, those pistons are taking a lot longer than I expected to clean them. I have like 2 clean. I still got two more. And one of the 2 that I have cleaned isn't like 100% yet. So I've still got several more hours worth of cleaning. You know, again, like I said, the sandpaper isn't very high grit material. So it just takes time and patience to go over it again and again and again and again until we can get all that shit out. Or until I get all that shit out because there's no weed who fuck nobody else is building my engines. So anyway, yeah, that's just it. It's, you know, $1,000 repair. Potentially $1,300 and some dollars repair if I have to buy pistons or whatnot. You know, I guess, well, with my discount, I think that it'll be, the pistons will be under $200. But yeah, it is what it is, guys. And there's another thing too, you know, like I do have discounts because I do wholesale a lot of stuff. But as far as it comes to, like, you know, when people ask me for sponsors and whatnot, like, do I have discounts already? Yeah, but the discounts aren't huge. Nobody's giving me anything free. Nobody's jumping in and saying, hey, Chris, you know, hey, you're building an S2000. That'll be cool for some advertisement. Let me give you some free stuff so you can build this S2000. No, the best I get is the discount that I normally already have. So when I was talking about the other day being frustrated with people asking for, you know, for hookups or whatnot, I don't get hookups. And I'm connected with a decent amount of people that could potentially give me hookups. And this isn't a way of like roundabout saying that I want that because I really don't care. I'm not factoring in the back of my mind at all. I'm 100%, you know, considering everything's coming out of pocket. I'm just saying, guys, that, you know, I don't ask the people that are completely capable, you know, of giving me discounts. So that's why it gets me frustrating sometimes the people who've never spent a dime with me come through and they ask for a hookup, you know, and then, or the people who constantly come through, talk, you know, day after day asking for quotes for things who never buy. So right now, just focused on getting this shit done. I have a K-Series, K20 in the back that I want to hopefully do in the next week or so. I say in a week or so because I have things planned this weekend and I might have plans the weekend after that. So there's that. But yeah, so hopefully within the next month and a half, so before Thanksgiving for sure, I should already have this block back. It'll already be a long block because I'm not going to fuck around, and it'll be getting ready to just get a date to go back. I guess if I would have to say right now, because we're moving into the holidays and because of Lee's pace when doing the swap and whatnot, I think that it'd probably be sometime in December when we'll finally see it done or driving again, and then I'll have to start setting up for a tune and an alignment and all that stuff to try and keep the car straight on the road so that way I don't die as soon as I push the throttle and boost. All right, guys, again, you know, the social media links are in the description down below. If you got any questions, tech tips, or whatever you want to talk about, ask them in the questions and comments. I don't really respond to DMs when people ask me advice because anything that you have to ask me, I've already been asked a million times. I've already talked about it. So if you want me to talk about it again directly too, you got to drop in the comments. And peace. Thanks for watching.